All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the DenofTruth. It's your boy Tina, and today we got the homie with us, Ben. So Ben, what's up? How you doing?
Man, it's good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, it's crazy. So how I got put into you was I went to get my fortnightly cut, for these waves that's going on at Trey's spot, and I really saw you and Trey having a lot of great conversations in regards to how sport has impacted culture, how sport has really impacted the sort of Australian background. So I was listening and it was a really dope conversation. And one of the things that really attracted me to what you guys were talking about was your story and how you began writing, how you started writing, and how you developed your craft. So I wanted to ask you, so and for the people who don't know, Ben is the Australian writer for the NBA. So very established writer, so someone who knows what it's talking about in regards to basketball. Can you tell me a bit about how you started writing and why you started writing?
Yeah, well, so I went to uni and studied sports media, like every guy wants to do, just as a way to kind of keep watching sport and make that your life. So yeah, I just wanted to write and create stuff around sport, and that was sort of wanted to do. And then it was one of those tough kind of things. It's tough to kind of get a break in that industry, and so I was just doing a regular desk job, just doing some other goofy stuff I didn't want to do. And me and one of my boys, Tom Reed, shout out to Tom, we started a podcast back in 2011 before I even knew what a podcast was. And we just started talking about the league. We were getting players on. We were just trying to grow the game because we both love basketball, and there wasn't really content like that out here. So we thought we would try it, and we just stuck with it. We launched a website like a year later, and just kind of kept doing it because it was fun. Like we got to just talk about basketball, which is and that's like being at the shop.
And that's really interesting because you guys sort of started your show off when podcasting was really starting to develop. Yeah. Was Facebook? You didn't have Instagram back then, right?
Nah, Instagram wasn't popping like that.
So pretty much all your content came from just what you put out on podcasts, on the platforms. How did you get your content out to people?
Honestly, Twitter was the big one for us because
Twitter.
Yeah, obviously NBA Twitter is big, and there's a big community of people that watch basketball, and there's that interactive community. So, we had an audience. It wasn't huge, but it was the same people coming back every week that, we could just talk trash with and, have a bit of fun. And that was sort of, I think, where we kind of got the most exposure because, there's like-minded people that are talking about the same stuff. So if you're bringing them something, then, you kind of have a platform there. So I think Twitter was really the big one for us. That was kind of the way you could just kind of get your jokes off and talk ball. So
because I think, for us, or especially for people around me and all the different artists, we're sort of at that weird stage where you're starting something, you're starting with the craft, you're sort of trying to make things stick, you're throwing out different ideas, and you're sort of trying to get those recurring viewers. Yeah. So it's sort of at that weird stage, and I think it's a lot easier for us because we have Instagram. So we got Instagram, we have YouTube.
You're making me feel old now.
So everything really for us, it's easy just to get 100 people to view a video. Yeah. So I guess it was a lot harder for you. So when did you guys, so you guys were working, so we both were working full-time jobs. So how did you guys manage getting guests on, recording, getting people on? How did you guys manage that?
No sleep. That's that was the key because you'd work your job during the day and you come home at night, you'd write, you'd record shows, and a lot of the time because people we're talking to that were coming on the show were in America. So we're coming to do these shows at all kinds of ridiculous times in the middle of the night, on weekends and that kind of thing. So we just kind of made that our thing. That's what we're going to do. You work your job, but this is what we both wanted to do. So we just kind of just stuck with it. And it's one of those things, we were never really in it to make something out of it. We just did it because it was fun. And I think that's kind of what kept us coming back, is that it wasn't like a chore or there wasn't a goal. It was just, let's just do this because it's fun. And then, kind of snowball after that.
I'm probably just not speaking for myself, but everyone. That grind when you're just working that 9 to 5, you're going to work, and you're looking at your environment, and look, at least a lot of people, at least you got a job. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to work 9 to 5, but just staying home, just going from work to home, I just can't do that. I feel like that's sort of the trap you fall in, where you look back in your life and you're just I probably should have been more active, like just actually try to do something. But so when you guys started writing about basketball, how big was the NBL and Australian basketball at that time?
Not what it's like now. Like basketball back then, like there's always been a big core group of fans that are just basketball fans, whether it's NBL, NBA, but it wasn't the scale that we're kind of seeing now. And I think, it's so much easier to consume NBA content now, whether it's League Pass or ESPN or Instagram. Like you can see anything that happens in the NBA on Instagram or Twitter. Whereas back then, it wasn't as accessible. Like you had to really work to try and watch a game.
I mean, and that's what the NBA has done so well compared to other sports. I mean, if you look at a lot of other sports, the NBA has really tried to clean up the game, like just in regards to how players can't fight. Every player's getting fined. If you swear at anyone, you're getting fined. Or they've really cleaned up the game where now it's not just people who like basketball, following it. It's like you got families, you got mothers. People are liking basketball. And I think with Australia, Australia's done a really good job in sort of promoting the NBL. Yeah. I know, especially where we come from, like down in Western Sydney, like basketball is really starting to pick up because you have a lot of especially like Sudanese cats, like for example, Thon Maker was down.
Yeah,
where we from.
Yeah.
Even do you know who Savannah Pride?
Yeah,
that's down in Blacktown where I'm from. And I remember when I was going there, this was probably about 6 years ago. It was just like PCYC, like it wasn't just basketball. It was sort of just like them trying to help the youth get off the streets and do something constructive. And then now they're just like a factory for like college basketball players. So you got some of these kids, they're like 16. I saw one at Blacktown Station the other day. 16, 6'10", wingspan, 7'1".
That's a future boomer right there.
That's like a future, that's it. Oh man. But yeah, so you guys obviously started your blog. You obviously started picking up. How long did it really take you guys for your blog to actually start getting traction and to develop?
I think we did the first season without really knowing what the hell we were doing. Like we were just kind of throwing stuff out and just kind of seeing what was well received and just doing things that we wanted to do and seeing if people liked it. I think it was probably by year 3. I think we brought in the website to sort of go with the show because at the time it was just a show and that way we were able to have stories around things that were coming out of the show and we're just able to do more stuff. And I think it was sort of that second and third season we started to get that momentum where we were consistent. Like we were doing 2-3 shows a week. Like we were really pumping it out. And I think that was sort of when we got that cut through was when there was always content coming out.
And people sort of. So you think it's more to do with releasing as much content as you can and being consistent with the content?
I think the latter. I think it's being consistent. And I think, if you have a product or a show or anything that people can rely on, and people know, okay, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, this show's coming out, and I know this is going to be on. Yeah. It's same with like TV.
Yeah.
I think that was the key, was just kind of always having shows. So we were producing a lot of shows and a lot of content.
How many shows a week would you guys would have been
at the
producing?
start, it was probably like 1 to 2.
Yeah.
And then probably by years 3, 4, 5, we're getting up to 2, 3. And then it got up to, I think by the 5th or 6th year, we were doing 4 shows a week, which was...
Man, that's a lot.
That was too much.
That's like, you guys, how much NBA, that's a lot of NBA to be talking about.
Yeah. That's damn near every day.
So when was the point where you knew that, okay, this isn't a successful show, then what? Was there ever a period, did you guys ever have sort of an exit strategy? Or was it sort of you guys started it, we're having fun with it, then it started to pick up, and then...
Yeah, that was it. There was never okay, we're going to start this show, and then someone's going to give us a TV show. It was just... We were just doing it more so for us, just because we wanted to have some fun, and we enjoyed doing it. And I think that was kind of the key, is that, we were never striving to get this one thing, or there was never this one goal. So we were flexible, we could do different things. And I think that's kind of what kept us going for so long, is that it was fun. It was fun to do the show. So, and that's the thing. If it becomes a labor, you're not going to want to do it. Yeah. So we just kept it light and kept it fun. And then, after a couple of seasons, we sort of had that momentum. And then, things just sort of went from there.
Yeah. And what was the point? So where were you when the NBA hit you up and were like, all right, Ben, you want to do this?
So I was working at Yahoo Sports down in Melbourne. So I was a writer down there.
Yeah.
So I was doing the show as well. So I was working a lot.
Yeah, you were grinding.
Yeah. And then the NBA had an opportunity up here to be the editor for their digital property out here. So we run NBA.com Australia, and then so they obviously were aware of the work we were doing and had seen the stuff that we'd done. So they brought me up to Sydney, and that was 3 seasons ago. Yeah, it's my 3rd season. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And some people dream about that, man. There's a lot of people out here dreaming about doing something for the NBA.
Yeah, I can't complain, man.
No complaints. Just in regards to Australian basketball again, I've noticed there's been a lot of American players coming to play in the Australian League. There's a lot of interesting stories, like a lot of players who broke, for example, like college. Yeah. Like they violated some college rules and then they were sent here. Yeah. Like Terrence Ferguson, how he didn't violate anything by how he came from.
He just got the check.
He got the bag.
He got the Under Armour check.
Yeah. But players who are using Australia as another means to get to the NBA. Yeah. What has been the cause of that? Like, what do you think that's happening now?
Well, that's the thing. The NBL has always been a good league. It's always been a grown man league. Yeah. But it didn't necessarily have the same exposure that other leagues had. But I think the thing that kind of ticked in Australia's favour is that if you're pitching for someone to come and play ball overseas, you got nice weather, everybody speaks English.
That's true.
It's easy. Like, you're not going to Europe, you're not in China. Like, it's an easy league to, I guess, acclimatise to. And it's a good league too. The standard has always been good, but I got to give them a lot of credit to the guys at the NBL and Larry and the guys that are running the show now. They've done a great job of marketing the league, and because the product was there, but they weren't necessarily.
They weren't marketing it out, and I guess I don't even think it was their fault. I feel like it was just. I think it's also a good moment in time because
100%.
Because you got things like, you got rugby union. Rugby union used to be a massive sport. Now it's just decreasing in size. You've got things like the NRL where like they're just refusing to like market themselves in any efficient way. Yeah. And I think a lot of parents now that people know about concussions and the long-term impacts of sports, they're sort of transitioning away from it. And then, to be honest, Aussie rules, like, let's be real. You know what I mean? Like, especially in Sydney, like, let's be real. You're not telling your son at 9 years old, all right, we're going to play AFL. Let's go. You're not going to do that. So basketball now, with the marketing, like you said, it's been like a perfect period of time for it to just completely take off.
And it's a family sport too. Like when you look at the way that the NBA is pitched, the NBL, like you can go and bring your family to the game. It's inside, like it's no one's fighting in the stands. It's chill and I think that means something. That makes a difference.
It makes it comfortable to go to, and I think it's interesting. I know we were talking before about how one of the reasons why the sport is probably getting bigger also is that now we actually have some serious talent in the NBA. Like, we got some, but I think before a lot of players, they never really openly said they were Australian, like those Australian players. Yeah. But I think now with, like, for example, you got Ben Simmons, Thon Maker, Matthew Dellavedova, they're all like really, really proud to be from Australia. So the Boomers team's going to be strong.
It's stacked, man. The World Cup's going to be something.
Yeah, it's going to be something. Just in regards to the NCAA. So I know I was talking to you a little bit about how, some American players who violated college regulations would come to Australia just to do the year. Yeah. Or some high school players even would just come to Australia to do the year and then go straight to the NBA. Now, just in regards to like how the NCAA is run, do you feel like the NCAA is conducive to creating the best athlete, or do you reckon it's just an outdated system?
I ain't got a lot of love for the NCAA. You got pay them kids for starters.
Yeah.
But in terms of development, like, that's the thing. You can only hoop and work out a certain amount if you're a college athlete, because you got to go to school, you got all these other commitments. Yeah. But if you come out here and be a pro, that's 24/7 ball. Yeah. So like Terrence Ferguson, like you said, he came out here, he worked on his body. Like, we obviously got great strength and conditioning coaches and stuff here. Yeah. So he was able to kind of speed up that development. And he didn't play a lot when he was out here, but you could see it. You could see he was going to be good.
Yeah.
And Brian Bowen, that's the next evolution of Terrence Ferguson. Yeah. We saw him and he was able to come out and contribute to a playoff team. So I think that's the big difference is, and you see it with like Luka Doncic now. Everyone's like, how is this 19-year-old kid so good? This man's been playing pro ball since he's 16 all day, every day, not going to, intro to physics or whatever. Yeah. So I think that's the difference is that you come play in the NBL, you're a professional. Like you're playing all the time. Whereas you go to college, like you have all this other stuff you got to deal with. Like you got to go to class. There's restrictions on the amount of basketball you can actually play. So yes, the environment is good in terms of exposure. It's the biggest stage at that level. And obviously, you're playing against your peers. But if you go to a professional league, you're playing against grown men. So you have to figure it out a lot quicker. And I think, you can almost be babied a little bit in college. Whereas if you play as a pro...
Grandparents and grown men. Man.
Yeah, like, exactly. So,
and I think the whole thing about the NCAA, which is crazy to me, is people always have the argument that taking someone and putting them in college is conducive.
Yeah.
It's not conducive. I mean, I went to university, and I can tell you there are degrees of university that you can do that anyone can pass. Yeah. But coming out of it, it will not give you anything. Yeah. And if you look at what most of these college players are doing, coming out of college, they're not really doing conducive degrees that will actually get you somewhere. They're just doing it because they're forced to do it, or they only do like 3 units or 2 subjects because they have to. Yeah. And I mean, if you have the talent, I mean, even in Australia, I mean, if you're good with your hands and you want to be a tradie, you can drop out of school and be a tradie, and by the time you're 23, you can have your own business and you can be way more successful.
You can make more money than me.
Yeah, you can make way more money than someone went to university. But it's just that people have that mentality where they think that just because you have a talent, that you are forced to go to college where you're not going to learn anything. That I was looking at how much. I look at Zion Williams. Yeah. I was like, do you know how much money Nike lost when he blew that shoe out?
I think they made money.
You think they made money?
I'm not going to stop buying Nikes because that man's 300 pounds wearing Paul George's sneakers. Of course they blew out. Like, you got to be in some bronze. At least he's playing in Kyrie's now. But I don't think that did anything. Like this is Nike.
When I say that, it's because I say that in regards to like how many people are making money off this kid. Like how much money?
Everybody but the kid.
Yeah, everyone's making so much money but the kid. You see him on ESPN. You see this kid every day. Yeah. I see him every day on the highlight reel, and this guy is not even making $1. And you're saying to me that because you allow him to go to university where he doesn't even want to go, how does you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense.
The Duke UNC game a couple of weeks back, the cheapest ticket out there was like $2.5 grand.
Are you serious?
That's like Super Bowl tickets.
2.5.
To watch an 18-year-old, 19-year-old.
Just to see an 18-year-old who's not making any money. Yeah. That's crazy.
But look, I think the system will change. It's going to take a long time. And I think the fact that the NBA is now looking at lowering the age limit back to 18 so guys can come out of high school. Up, and I think we also kind of get swept up in that thinking, okay, let them all come in. But not everyone's ready for the NBA at 18. Like, we're really talking about a handful of guys like Zion, maybe RJ, and there's a couple of guys that could probably so I think for everyone else, they probably should be in college. Like they will, like, and not everyone's going to make the league either. Like
that's crazy.
You're only getting 60 draft slots a year. Think about how many people are playing. So the way I look at it is like if I'm Zion Williamson and I'm going to make it, I don't need to be here. But if I'm 6'2" shooting threes and I'm the 12th man on the team, let me stay here all 4 years and have some fun. So the argument really it applies to a select few, but because there's so much money at stake, that's why we're kind of like, well, what, that's why we're mad.
Because when I saw him like blow out that shoe, and like he hurt his knee, I was like, you could have just lost. Could have lost millions of dollars. Like that,
that was him.
That was a wrap. Like, you know what I mean? If something went wrong, that would have been a wrap. And then what? You know what I mean? And then what do you do?
You go back to whatever goofy degree you were doing. Like, but that's legitimate because like as a professional, like you're getting paid to be there. Yeah. So if you get hurt on company time, you recover on company time. Yeah. Whereas if you're at college, like obviously they'll look after you and stuff, but there's no money.
There's no money.
That's your meal ticket.
They'll give me that degree, but you can't use after the course. Yeah. But even the NBA is starting to heat up, man. A lot of things. So first, I wanted to get your opinion on Lonzo Ball, because personally, I think that he's a really good player. I think that I was reading something that said that since he got injured, and he's had a lot of injuries, but since he got injured this year, that the Lakers' defensive percentage just plummeted.
Oh yeah.
So it shows that like even though he's not a high scorer, he's the type of player that does everything else. Yeah, you know what I mean.
He's the kind of guy that when he doesn't play, things fall apart, and you're not necessarily going to see him in the box score getting 30, 10, and 10, but they'll win. Yeah, he's that kind of player. I think he's going to be really, really good. I think it was always going to take him a little while to sort of make that leap. But the fact that the Lakers kind of became great this season, that kind of it changes things. Like you look at a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who was given his own team in Sacramento, playing 35 minutes a night. Of course he's going to be good now. Whereas Lonzo's had a bit of a rougher road. The Lakers stank last year. They were supposed to be good this year. I think it'll come with him. Like he's got it.
Yeah, I think what happened with the Lakers this year is that if you look at any of the teams LeBron played with and had success with, or any of the teams that he won with, he was just surrounded by shooters. Like, if you look at the Lakers this year, they're surrounded by a bunch of guys who are more ISO players. Like, they're more like, drive to the basket. Like, Kyle Kuzma, he's a great player, he's a great scorer, but he's not a perimeter shooter. Then you have, like, players like Rondo. He's not a perimeter shooter. So I think that's why the Lakers aren't as successful this year.
Yeah.
But man, it's a great thing playing with LeBron, I feel. Yeah. But it's also such a burden just in regards to the standard that
it takes sacrifice. Like you're not necessarily the team orbits around LeBron. Yeah. And it's how do you help LeBron? Like what do you do that is going to maximize your own skills, but also LeBron, because he's the one that's ultimately going to take you there. And you're right. Like I thought Josh Hart was going to be a lot better this year. That was the only other guy on the team that could really shoot it. Like, they let Brook Lopez go. They let Julius Randle. Like, they made a lot of mistakes from the front office. I mean, I love Magic Johnson, but,
They had to clear the decks. I mean, I feel like Magic had sort of a hard decision when it came to, like, letting D'Angelo Russell go and Julius Randle, because I feel like he just wanted to clear the locker room. Because I felt like before LeBron came, there was a lot of young players, a lot of immature distrust. Yeah. I mean, you had like Swag P, D'Angelo. You had a lot of like a lot of
that locker room was in trouble.
Like you had like a lot of different personalities in the one team where you can't have that especially if you want to create like a winning organization. But
and also they're blinded by Hollywood because they think they can sign 2 max free agents every summer. So that's why they got rid of Randall, thinking someone's coming. But
really,
it's not. That's not how it is.
Yeah. What do you think about how James Harden's playing right now?
Man, I know a lot of people don't like watching him play because he's ISO and he's getting to the free throw. I love watching this guy go to work.
James Harden is the truth.
Like when he gets hot, outside of Steph and maybe Kyrie, I think those are the 3 guys that I truly enjoy watching just go berserk.
I was watching. I forgot who was playing, but his team. Houston went down in the last quarter. This is when he scored 24 in the last quarter. Did they lose?
He did that just the other day. He had 27 in the first quarter.
I think they lost. Houston lost.
He had 57 against Memphis when they lost, and then the next day he came out.
But the thing about watching why I like watching James Harden play is because when you're watching him play, you get to see what the other team throw at him. Yeah, and you just get to see him throw it apart. Like the other day, I was when they were playing the Spurs. I said, because Pop is a good coach, so he will know how to shut down.
That's a good defensive team.
That's a good coach team. And then I saw him try double team him as soon as he got the ball. I say him just put a bigger guy on, a shorter guy on. Yeah. But this guy is for real. But also, I think what's happened also is that it's sort of his time, just in regards to his game, in regards to how the NBA is transitioning to when I was watching the first couple of games of the NBA, and I saw teams getting up to 140, 130. Like, have you seen it this year? Like, teams are getting up to 130, and I was like, this seems like an all-star game. Yeah. I've never seen that.
There's just so many extra possessions now. Like, the speed is through the roof now. Like we look at the Steve Nash Suns as the quick team. If they were playing now, they'd be down the bottom of the league in terms of pace. That's how much things have changed. And James Harden, he probably takes advantage of the rules more than anybody. He's so smart at leveraging what he's good at to getting more out. So on that front, you just got to give the man credit, give him that MVP award.
He's the MVP. I was saying Giannis, I was very I just didn't rate Giannis a lot. A lot of people were saying, trust me, Giannis he's the truth. He's the man. But James Harden, man, was almost scoring 60 points like that, back to back.
He was doing it for month-long periods.
Kobe was the blueprint, man. Kobe for me, that is my favorite player of all time. Yeah, because him and AI were the first 2 players when I started watching basketball. They were popping. They were the guys who were really successful. But just Kobe's mentality, man, his mentality and attitude is just, I think it's borderline crazy. But if you want to be great at something, you gotta have his mentality. And even now that he's finished playing sports, he's just great at whatever he does.
He won an Oscar.
That's crazy.
Come on, he was retired 1 year and won an Oscar. Like that's
that
how
shows
he is.
you.
Like,
That shows you his
man's
mentality.
crazy.
But yeah. But also that being said, the NBA has changed so much just in regards to the mentality. I mean, players now, they've changed focus in regards to how it was a very owner sort of focus league. You know, especially if you look at, you know, even Michael Jordan. A lot of people think Michael Jordan didn't make a lot of money during his period of time.
Yeah.
And the Chicago Bulls, I know that the ownership group were also very tight with their money. I feel like if they wanted to extend the Bulls and they wanted to make it that sort of like that period of time extend, they could have. But at that time, it was an owner-driven league. It was management based.
Yeah. At the time though, when he first came in, obviously he wasn't making a lot of money. But when he became Michael Jordan, they were paying him crazy. Like he was making 33 a year back then.
That's crazy.
Like
actually, I take that back.
But I mean, at the start, that was the case. So like people weren't making this kind of money, and he kind of took it through the roof, getting that kind of bar. It's like that's where you are.
And then things now have just developed now that it's such a player-driven league. I mean, even if you look at what happened with Anthony Davis, where he's pretty much telling a team, regardless of, you know, his situation, but, you know, you pretty much telling a team, trade me, because I'm going to leave anyways. Yeah. You know what I mean? Things have just started to transition. And that's why I give like LeBron and what he's doing with Rich Paul, how they're trying to be creative, you know, creative with like contracts and everything. I give them a lot of props. And I think that has completely changed, not just basketball players' perspective. Like even now, if you look at any sporting teams, like players are a lot smarter in regards to how they market themselves, and handle themselves.
Nobody's paying money to watch the owner play. Like the players run the league. And that's especially true with the league because, you know, they're not wearing helmets like in football. Like everyone knows who these guys are. They're on TV every damn day. They're on social media more than any other sport. So there's an accessibility level to these guys that, you know, you're not on a 53-man team. You're not on a 30-man. There's 12 guys on an NBA roster.
Yeah, max.
And really there's like 4 really good players on, you know what I mean? So like if you're one of those top guys, like of course you have the power, like because if you take one player off a team, they can go from the top to the bottom. Yeah, as we've seen with Bron,
exactly.
Which doesn't really happen in a lot of other sports. So I think that shift in mindset that like, we're making a lot of money or whatever, but like a lot of the players are still underpaid, considering how much money these teams are worth now. Yeah, like you should be paying LeBron $100 million a year, like
easy.
You know what I mean?
Because I forgot what it was, but there's a video of it was the Chicago Bulls at that time where Michael Jordan came in and was driving like a Ferrari. Yeah. And then Scottie Pippen came in. You know when they come into the locker room? Yeah. And then Scottie Pippen came in and he was driving like another like super expensive car. And then the owner of the Bulls came in at that time and he was driving just like a shitbox. Yeah. Like a forward drive. And then there was a session that was having with kids and he was like, put your hand up if you want to make more money than Michael Jordan. And then obviously every kid puts their hands up. He's like, put your hands up if you want to make more money than Scottie Pippen. Obviously everyone puts their hands up. And then he goes, and you know, put your hand up if you want to be a basketball player. And then they all put their hands up. And then he goes, the owner makes what Michael Jordan makes in a year in interest every month.
Shit.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
It's facts. Yeah. And like the way that he described that, it made you realize that like even like when LeBron talks about on his store on the barbershop and he's saying, I want to be an owner, because realistically a lot of employees and a lot of sports players, they don't realize, but they're actually just employees. Yeah. And it's sort of transitioning from that mentality.
That's the old Chris Rock joke. Like Shaq is not rich. The guy who pays Shaq is rich.
Exactly. Yeah. But who do you think is going to win this year?
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to not pick Golden State. Like,
they're right now.
I will say this though. This is I'm not gonna say worst, but the most vulnerable they've looked in the past few years, because they were unstoppable. Yeah. But there's a few things going on. Like I don't know. There's other teams out there that are a lot better now too as well. So I'm not ready to just give it to them, but I like Toronto. I don't think anyone's talking about Toronto.
Okay.
Like they're a team that is deep, they're young, and you have a guy like Kawhi that can win it for you. Like
they're pretty much when you put it like that, Toronto are good, but they're just notorious for choking.
Yeah,
they're just super notorious.
They've let us down many times.
Yeah. I like Milwaukee. Yeah, I like them a lot. I think I would say Milwaukee over the Celtics. Celtics are deep. Yeah, but I just feel as if right now there's too much dysfunction in their team. They're not clicking. If you watch the Bucks play, these guys are clicking. You can tell they actually enjoy playing with each other.
They have a system. Like the coaches really put it together for them. Yeah,
you can see it. And Giannis, like, even if you see Giannis play, like when I was watching his games, is that he is definitely the center point of their offense, the center point of the team. But other players are doing things like it's not just Giannis.
Yeah.
So I think Milwaukee are going to come out of the East. I really like the Thunder, man.
Yeah,
I really like them. Like they're
man.
looking.
PG's nice this season.
He came back like on a mission this year. I was just watching one of their games, and they're deep. That bench is deep as well. Like they've got a lot of good players. So, but then again, when I'm watching Golden State, I think the key is if DeMarcus Cousins keeps getting better in terms of his conditioning.
Yeah,
which is he's been getting better in terms of his conditioning. You can't beat them.
You can't leave anyone open on that team. That's the problem. You got to leave Draymond open. Like that's really it. Like
I was watching a game where Steph was playing, and it was Steph, Clay, and KD, and I think Steph and KD got in foul trouble.
Yeah,
and they were killing it. Like they were just making it rain, and they got benched. And then in that corner, Clay scores something like 14 points in the corner.
Yeah.
And then you take him out, and they still got weapons. I just don't see how, because a lot of people say Houston could match up Golden State, and I'm like, that's a mismatch. Houston with Golden State's a big mismatch.
Man, it took them to 7 games last season.
Yeah, but still, like how I see it is that on Houston are only as good as how James Harden plays. If James Harden has an off day, they do have good players around them like Chris Paul. They do have a lot of good pieces. But if Golden State can neutralize neutralize James Harden, I don't think Houston can take it all the way. But if you neutralize Steph, Golden State still got KD.
Yeah.
If you neutralize KD, they still got Clay. Like they can beat you in so many different ways.
Yeah, I'm still more afraid of the Warriors than I am Houston. Like I can even live with let Harden get 40, but no one else is going to score.
Yeah,
like
which usually happens.
Yeah, they can do that, but I don't know. I still like Houston because Chris Paul, if he can be healthy, he's still, as a playoff performer, he's still one of the best point guards in the league.
Yeah,
you have a guy like Capella who, he's productive, he's big. It's going to be guys like PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon. Are they playing well?
They gotta show up.
Is Kenneth Faried play? Like if they get everything to go well, they'll probably still lose the war. But you know what I mean?
Realistically.
Whereas the Warriors could kind of just limp in and they've got enough.
Yeah, they got enough. And they're deep as well. But on the All-Star weekend, so how was the All-Star weekend, man?
Man, All-Star weekend is fun. It's like it's crazy. Like it's 3 day. It's busy, and like for me, like obviously from a work perspective, it's a big weekend because you got all the players there. There's a ton of events, and so you're working pretty hard out there. But All-Star weekend is notorious for fun. There's parties, and everyone's kind of out in the city. Like it's just a big festival of basketball, really. Like everyone's kind of celebrating the NBA, and it's a good time out there, man.
Yeah, damn, man. Look lit, man. They look like the little thotties out there, man. They were on full attack, man. Like I saw some photos. You know when you just see someone, when you just see a thot, and she's like, she's just like in her full thot attire, you know what I mean? And when you see it, you know what is bad when you see when you see 6 of them lined up trying to get into a club, and you know that like they're not paying for anything. They're there for the female numbers, just to cover it. It's crazy.
That's the Super Bowl weekend for Instagram models. That's their Super Bowl.
But even on that, like on the All-Star weekend, I saw that Adam Silver wanted to expand the NBA to go to Africa.
Yeah,
and I was just like, man, you're gonna get some athletes. You gotta get. So what is it? Is it they want to create a league there that's sort of associated with the NBA, or?
Yeah, so the NBA will basically run the league in Africa. So it's going to be a 12-team league to begin with.
Yeah.
They haven't determined where the teams are going to be yet. So I think it's going to be predominantly. They'll have South Africa, Egypt, Angola, like the teams countries that are already pretty established.
Yeah.
And then they'll go from there. But like there's Joel Embiid's just walking around in Africa. Like
I was gonna say, even Giannis, bro. When I think about that, I'm just thinking, do you know how the NBA is gonna transition to everyone is gonna be 6'10", gonna be able to shoot threes, and it's gonna be like the NBA, the height level.
It's crazy.
It's freakish now.
But I mean, the Africa League is exciting because there's obviously so much talent in Africa that hasn't necessarily had the infrastructure or the accessibility to the game. So now they're already doing a lot of work out there with the NBA. They have the NBA Africa game out there once a year now.
Yeah.
So they've been interested in Africa for a while, but now I think they're in a position where they're willing to put money behind it. So I think they've already got. I think Pepsi and Jordan Brand, they've got sponsors and stuff that are coming in.
To push it. Wow.
Barack is trying to run the league. Like,
So if Barack grabbed that league, that would be like legendary. That would be like
NBA players might be trying to go out there and play. But yeah, they're doing all the right things to set up, I think, a long-term thing in Africa. So it's cool, man. It's going to be interesting because as I said, there's a ton of talent out there, but now they're going to have the infrastructure to find these guys because that's the hardest part.
Yeah, and I guess why Africa? Why do you think the NBA is so interested in investing in Africa?
I mean, look at Joel Embiid. Look at Giannis Antetokounmpo. They're the perfect guys to be playing in like the Africa has. I mean, come on, man, you know.
Straight up.
It's a continent full of brothers. Like, but
6'10", 6'10".
Yeah, and the population as well. Africa's enormous. Like there's a lot of guys out there, and there's interest already in basketball. It's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, they already went out to China. They do a lot of stuff there. India, they're really trying to grow that market out there. Europe's obviously been there for a minute in terms of the NBA's attention. So Africa was next. Like it was kind of the logical kind of next step.
But anyways, we got to wrap it up. But anyways, man, I appreciate you coming on here.
Appreciate
Great
it, man.
Conversation, man.
Always, man. I feel like we're back at the shop.
Yeah.